Hashtag how sleep affects your health. Everything you need to know. There is one thing you do every single night that either builds your body up or quietly tears it down. It is not your diet. It is not your workout routine. It is something most people take for granted, cut short without a second thought, and sacrifice the moment life gets busy. Sleep. And the science behind what happens when you close your eyes is more extraordinary, more critical, and more consequential than almost anything else you do for your health. Over the next 10 minutes, you are going to learn exactly why sleep is not a passive activity. It is arguably the most powerful biological process your body runs every single day. Understanding what sleep actually is. Most people think sleep is simply the absence of being awake. But that could not be further from the truth. Sleep is an incredibly active, highly organized biological state. Your brain does not shut off when you sleep, it shifts into a different operational mode entirely, one that performs maintenance tasks your waking brain simply cannot do. Sleep is divided into cycles, each lasting roughly 90 minutes. Within those cycles, you move through distinct stages. First, there is light sleep, where your body begins to relax, your heart rate slows, and your core temperature drops. Then comes deep sleep, also called slow-wave sleep, where the most physically restorative work happens. Finally, there is REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, where your brain becomes nearly as active as it is while you are awake. This is where memory consolidation, emotional processing, and creativity are largely housed. A healthy adult needs 4 to 6 complete cycles per night, which translates to approximately 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Anything consistently below that threshold starts creating measurable damage across nearly every system in your body. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine has confirmed this range for decades, and the research supporting it only grows stronger every year. Sleep and your brain. Let us start with the organ most dramatically affected by poor sleep, your brain. In 2013, a landmark study published in the journal Science revealed something stunning. During sleep, the brain activates a previously unknown waste clearance system called the glymphatic system. Cerebrospinal fluid is pumped through channels around brain cells, literally flushing out toxic waste products that accumulate throughout the day. One of the most dangerous of these waste products is amyloid beta, a protein fragment strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease. When you sleep poorly or not enough, amyloid beta accumulates. Studies have shown that just one night of sleep deprivation causes a measurable spike in amyloid beta in the human brain. Over years and decades of insufficient sleep, this buildup is now believed to be a significant contributing factor to neurodegenerative disease. Beyond waste clearance, sleep is essential for memory. When you learn something new, the information exists in a fragile, temporary state. During deep sleep and REM sleep, your brain replays and consolidates those memories, transferring them from short-term storage to long-term storage. Students who sleep after studying retain dramatically more information than those who stay up reviewing. Harvard Medical School research showed that people who slept after learning a task were 20 to 30% better at performing it the following day. Concentration, decision-making, reaction time, and emotional regulation all depend directly on adequate sleep. After 17 to 19 hours without sleep, cognitive impairment is equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. After 24 hours, it matches being legally drunk. Sleep and your body, hormones, immunity, and metabolism. The effects of sleep extend far beyond the brain. Your endocrine system, the network of glands that produce hormones, operates on a schedule deeply tied to your sleep-wake cycle. Growth hormone, which is responsible for tissue repair, muscle growth, and fat metabolism, is released in its largest pulse during the first hour of deep sleep. If you cut your sleep short or frequently wake during the night, you suppress growth hormone output. For anyone trying to build muscle, recover from training, or simply maintain a healthy body composition, this is critically important. Your gym session means far less if you are not sleeping enough to allow the hormonal response that drives adaptation. Cortisol, your primary stress hormone, follows the opposite rhythm. It naturally drops during sleep and rises in the morning to help you wake up and feel alert. When you are sleep deprived, cortisol stays elevated throughout the day. Chronically elevated cortisol promotes fat storage, particularly around the abdomen, breaks down muscle tissue, raises blood pressure, and suppresses immune function. Speaking of immunity, sleep is one of the most powerful regulators of your immune system. During sleep, your body produces and releases cytokines, proteins that target infection and inflammation. A study from the University of California, San Francisco, found that people who slept 6 hours or less per night were 4 times more likely to develop a cold when exposed to the rhinovirus compared to those sleeping 7 hours or more. 4 times more likely. That is not a minor difference. Sleep, weight, and metabolic health. If you have ever struggled with your weight despite eating reasonably well and exercising, your sleep habits may be the missing piece. The connection between sleep and metabolism is direct, measurable, and significant. 2 hormones govern your appetite in powerful ways, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin signals hunger, telling you to eat. Leptin signals satiety, telling you to stop. Sleep deprivation increases ghrelin and decreases leptin simultaneously, a combination that creates persistent, intense hunger, particularly for high-calorie, high-carbohydrate foods. A study from the University of Chicago found that sleep-restricted participants ate an average of 300 additional calories per day compared to well-rested participants. Over the course of a year, that surplus could translate to over 30 pounds of fat gain. Furthermore, insulin sensitivity decreases after even 1 week of sleeping less than 6 hours per night, placing sleep-deprived individuals into a pre-diabetic metabolic state according to research published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. The relationship between sleep and cardiovascular health is equally alarming. People who consistently sleep fewer than 6 hours per night have a 20% higher risk of heart attack. A 2019 study from the European Heart Journal tracking over 461,000 participants found that short sleep duration was independently associated with a significantly higher risk of both developing and dying from coronary heart disease. The deep dive: sleep deprivation in modern life. The average American now sleeps 6.8 hours per night. In 1942, that number was 7.9 hours. That is a loss of over an hour of sleep per night across the general population in less than a century. The World Health Organization has officially classified the sleep deprivation epidemic as a global public health crisis. The primary culprits are well documented. Artificial light exposure, particularly from blue light-emitting screens, suppresses melatonin production by up to 50%. Melatonin is the hormone that signals your brain to prepare for sleep, and when its release is delayed by evening screen time, your sleep architecture shifts later, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. Work schedules that ignore natural circadian rhythms, high-stress environments, excessive caffeine consumption in the afternoon and evening, and inconsistent sleep schedules all compound this problem. Social jet lag, the difference between your biological sleep timing on workdays versus free days, affects over 70% of the working population. This constant mismatch between your internal clock and your social schedule creates chronic, low-grade sleep deprivation that accumulates over time without people fully realizing its impact. What optimal sleep actually looks like. Understanding the problem is one thing. Understanding the solution is another. Optimizing sleep is not just about spending more hours in bed. It is about protecting sleep quality, consistency, and the biological processes that depend on those factors. Sleep timing matters as much as sleep duration. Your circadian rhythm, the internal 24-hour clock governed largely by light exposure, determines when your body releases melatonin, when your core temperature drops, and when your organs perform their nightly maintenance tasks. Going to bed and waking at the same time every day, including weekends, is one of the single most impactful changes you can make for sleep quality. Your sleep environment should be cool, dark, and quiet.